So for something to change fundamentally, the sacred geometry has to change. Okay. Now we can change things and things can transform in from one thing to another, ice to water to steam. Or you can create something like factories, create manufacture, all of these things. This is fine because the atoms are still the same. You can have chemical reactions between things, two chemicals coming together to make a new chemical. All of these things are standard in your world. But for something to fundamentally change from the way it has always been on the planet to a new way of being, the only way for that to happen is for the sacred geometry to be updated.
Okay.
Now, your whole planet would have to implode or explode, and a new one to be there to put completely new sacred geometry, because you have to have a transition. But just as people evolve, if you see it in the same way, if you are not very visual thinking of geometry, or you didn't like geometry at school and you think that is all too confusing, simply think of the principle of evolution. An organism has a pressure point, or it needs to adapt to a new environment, and it creates something new about itself. Say, for example, the butterfly that creates spots upon its wings that looks like eyes to have predators not attack them.
Mm.
To have that to happen, there is a process that happens, and it has to be updated off the back of what it was. So the original butterfly is still the original butterfly, but with updated genetics for this to happen.
Okay.
So when sacred geometry, which is the absolute nuts and bolts, the creation of your universe, if you could see the universe, it is a bit like people in computer systems that could, the lowest denominator is the binary system, you understand, for computers, everything, noughts and ones, noughts and ones. If you look at the lowest denominator, and I'm using that terminology as in the heart, the absolute center point of everything, the start of everything is sacred geometry. Therefore, it makes sense that in this time of change, and this is exactly what the light influx is doing, is changing, updating, or should I say influencing the sacred geometry to change itself.
Okay.
If you look at the flower of life, there are many, many different versions of designs of sacred geometry that you could pick out if you follow different lines. So something like the flower of life is very interesting because where it is influenced by certain patterns within the flower of life at different stages of evolution of your planet. So not just evolution of humanity, but evolution of the planet, nature, everything. When the trees first came to the planet, all of these different things, everything. It then influences different types of designs within the flower. What we are experiencing now, and one of the reasons why you find that I talk about the flower of life within the meditation, within light, is the influence is changing again to, you could call it a higher octave.
Okay.
And when we are talking of octaves, we are also talking about numerology here, but that is for another time. So you could think, if you think you go beyond the cellular level, you go beyond the genetics and epigenetics and everything else of your body. If you went to the fundamental essence that makes up your soul as well as you, the one thing that makes up everything is your sacred geometry. So due to how you think, what you do, your beingness, the light that you allow in, how much you allow change to change you, suddenly this thing that I've been saying for some time takes on a bit of an extra meaning, does it not?
Yes.
Allow change to change you. The influence within your own sacred geometry is highlighting parts which have been laying dormant. People that know sacred geometry well can look deeply in sacred geometry. It is a bit like your DNA. Parts that lay dormant waiting for the time that it is right for them to be stimulated. And then you get a stimulant for it. Stimulant from sacred geometry, one of the main ways is light. Your universe, your cuboid of the universe is enhancing your awareness, your awakening, your evolution by pounding you with this light. It is one of the reasons why I dedicated so much time to light, and this will go on. It is not done now. It is going to go on. It is a generational thing. This is going to go on for a long time, so that it is not too uncomfortable.
Right.
You know, if you suddenly change a zebra into a giraffe in one day, how uncomfortable would that be? And I'm just using that as a little bit of a visual.
It's a
But
very good one.
actually, you're changing deeply. And so there needs to be no fear. It should be anything but fear around this, because this is the most natural thing in the universe to happen. It is what foretellers, prophecy, people from 500 years ago have seen, what has been seen in the stars, what the cosmos is doing to help. It is nothing to be fearful of. It is to help the growth. It is help humanity for where the group of humanity intention is wanting to go.
Okay.
And people want to be better. Understand? Yes?
I do. I'm curious about whether we will see a different visual for the flower of life in the future as well, whether there will be some additions to it or it will be multidimensional in some way.
The light will show that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everything comes when we are ready to see it. But when we are ready, remember, it's often long after it's actually happened.
Yeah.
So don't wait to see anything in the world to believe it is happening in your body, in your back garden, in the tree that stands outside your window, in your animals, in your pets, in your food, in your water, in the weather system. By the time we are ready to actually understand and see anything, it is long past. So I would say, if you are aware of it happening, most people will not be aware of this at all.
Yeah.
It is just something that happens, a bit like they're not aware of digesting their food once they've eaten their lunch. But those that are, or the biggest piece of advice I would say is just smile to yourself and say it is happening.
Yeah.
You can help it along, yes, but even if you don't, it will happen. But the one thing not to do is fear it, because what are you fearing? It is a bit like a child who is 6 who is saying, I'm scared that I'm going to grow taller by the time I'm 7. Nothing to fear.
Yeah.
Natural process.